Hi guys, and welcome to U-Wrench. Today we're doing a full transmission filter and fluid change. This is for the Dodge Grand Caravan, the 2008 through 2020 model with the V6 3.6 engine. Obviously the same will apply to the Chrysler Town Country in the same age ranges. One thing worthy of note is that this car is fitted with the 62 TE transmission, and this transmission is also found in a lot of other models across the Dodge and Chrysler ranges. So this video guide might be perfect for additional models as well as the Grand Caravan. But today we're working on the Grand Caravan, so let's take a look at what we need to get this change done. So some things you're going to need to be able to do this change obviously is the transmission fluid. Now this gearbox takes the ATF plus 4. Obviously you can choose whatever brand you like. Dozens of brands make this stuff. Pick whatever you choose within your budget, but it must be ATF plus 4. Now the capacity on this car is 9 litres, but obviously with a transmission fluid change you're not actually getting all of that fluid out when you do a standard change. So the change on this would probably take about 5.5 quarts, which is about 5.2 litres. So you want to buy yourself either 6 or 7 of these to make sure you've got more than enough. But that's going to take 5.5 quarts or 5.2 litres for your fluid. So a quick note on the filter when you're choosing which filter to buy. Again, buy the best one you can within your budget. One important thing is some will come with gaskets, such as this one from Wix that we'll be fitting today, and also the sealing ring as well. This all comes in this kit from Wix. Some of them don't come with this, and also from the factory they wouldn't have come with a rubber seal. They would have been sealed with a gasket maker like an RTV, which is like a specialist silicone product, especially for sealing automotive gaskets. You can buy that stuff at any automotive store. It can be a little bit messy, so it's up to you. If you don't mind working with that, with the RTV stuff, get whatever filter you like. Otherwise, bear in mind, if you would prefer the rubber filter, shop around, make sure your filter comes with the gasket and also a new sealing ring. So bear that in mind when you go shopping. So one more thing quickly we need to discuss is how you measure the level of your transmission fluids. Obviously you're going to need that when you come to do the refill. As you'll see later in the video, we'll show you where the port's located, the dipstick for the transmission fluid, and how you can measure that. But what you actually need is, unfortunately, they don't give you a dipstick for the transmission, but there is a way of using the standard engine dipstick as a secondary dipstick for your transmission fluid. And we're actually going to film a dedicated video on how to use this for measuring your transmission fluid. So be sure you check that video out. I'll add a link for that below this video in the information section. Just scroll down, check that out. It's a good way of doing it. Otherwise, you're going to have to buy yourself a dedicated transmission dipstick, and they're $25, $35 or more. So this is kind of the inexpensive, budget-orientated way of doing it, but it works just as well. So be sure to check that video out, and we can make a start. Okay, the location of the dipstick port for the transmission fluid. If you have a look down here, you can just see we've got a little cap just down there, and that is the plastic cap that sits on top of the tube, and that is the tube for your transmission dipstick. So here's the cap removed. It does just screw into place. As you can see, it's actually got a thread on it, so just unscrew it in the normal manner and that will pop off. So you've got to come underneath the car and remove your engine under tray. That's the big plastic panel that sits across the bottom. There's a series of screws around the outside. Get that dropped down and out of the way. Once that's out of the way, under the driver's side of the car, you will find this. And this is the pan for the transmission fluid filter. Just underneath this metal cover is located the filter, as we'll see when we get to that stage. There's a series of 8mm bolts all around the outside of this. As you can see, this particular one has been sealed previously with the RTV gasket maker type stuff, so it's going to make cleaning it up a little bit more fun for us. But irrespective, no problem. But that is the location. That's exactly what you're looking for, this black unit right here. So for undoing these bolts, obviously the whole thing's facing slightly downhill in this direction. So what we want to do is actually start removing the rear ones, the rear bolts first, coming up the either side, and these 4 across the front are the last ones to be removed. The best thing to do is remove them all, including these two corner ones. So start at the back, up the sides and the two corner ones. That will allow the seal to start splitting at the rear and just start getting the fluid leaking at the rear there. And then you can slowly ease these off, don't remove them, and that will open up that gap nice and big and all the fluid will come out. That's an important thing because the whole thing's going downhill. Work with what you've got, start with those, leave these two in place to the very end. So before we loosen the bolts, obviously make sure you've got your drip tray in place ready to catch the oil. So we're just starting to get the first leaks come through now. We've released all of the screws once this one's out of the way, apart from the 4 across the front as I mentioned earlier. So you want to give it a few minutes to allow it to drain. About halfway through I just lifted the rear down, allowed more fluid to come out. Remember I left these front two in to keep it secure. So when you're at a point, we're nearing it now, where it's slowed down enough that we're going to get this plate removed. Just remember, I'm going to lift this up, take these two out, but of course it's still going to have a load of fluid in the bottom of this pan, so just be careful you do lift it down because that will go everywhere as well. So make sure you've got your drip tray ready so you just pour it straight in. So you can see the pan is still full of ATF fluid. So just get rid of all that. And just for your reference, in the bottom of the pan here on the underside, they actually put a magnet in here. And what this magnet does, it catches any contaminants such as metal filings, etc. As they pass through here to stop them continuing on through the system. So that's what that is. Obviously in a minute we're going to give this a full complete clean, but obviously be sure to pull that magnet off and give that a good clean as well. So to remove the filter itself, there's 2 Torx screws that hold it in. You can see one just there at the front. They're Torx 25 from memory, and there's one on the opposite corner as well. So just drop these 2 screws down and get them out of the way. The only thing holding the filter in now is this little tube comes off of the filter, goes into the sealing ring in the bottom there. So if we give this a bit of a wiggle side to side, that should pop out. So just a quick shot for you to show where your dipstick comes down. This is normally where your gearbox filter would sit. You have this little metal bracket here, and it will come down the inside of this, and it hits when you can hear the tip of your dipstick chinking away. That's what it's touching right there. So it just comes down there into there, and that's how you get the measurement of the level. So we're almost ready to put the filter back into place, the new one. Before we do that, it's a good idea to go around and give this outer ring area all the way around a good clean down, especially if you've got any remnants of the gasket maker, the RTV on there. You're going to need like a razor blade and very, very finely scrape that off. You've got to be very careful with it, because what you don't want to do is put a scratch or a scrape into this metal, because obviously that could then create a small gap for fluid to leak through. So when you are cleaning these up, be very careful. Thankfully on our instance, most of the RTV has stuck onto the pan side rather than this side, but that's going to be the next stage. Give these a good clean up before we stick the filter into the middle of it. An excellent way to get these clean, same with the pan, is to use brake cleaner. It's a little bit better than degreaser, because this stuff tends to evaporate off a lot quicker. So next we want to give our pan a good clean out as well, including the magnet, and get rid of all this gasket sealer all the way around the outside as well. So what we're going to do is get rid of the worst of the fluid, mop it all up, and then we're going to use our brake cleaner or a degreaser again, just to get it as clean as we possibly can before we refit it. Now if you're struggling to get the old gasket off, you can use a razor blade. Just keep it nice and shallow and just go nice and slowly with it. The reason you want to keep it shallow is obviously you don't want to be cutting any grooves into this paint here. But sometimes a nice fine razor blade like this one could be the only real way to get this horrible stuff off. And don't forget to make sure that you replace your magnet. So first of all, make sure the gasket's free of dust, and make sure it looks like it's going to match up well, like this one is. This is an optional stage. What I prefer to do, I don't like having dry seals on gaskets. So it's a good idea to take a little bit of your ATF fluid, pour a little bit into the cap, and just give it a quick wipe over. This is on the underside, just so when this seals, it's not bone dry. So to do that, go all the way around, and then we'll get it fitted on. Having it that little bit wet as well will help the gasket stay in place, which will help you get the screws in the right position. So exactly the same as the underside. Just going to put some new clean fluid across here again, just so we can avoid having bone dry connections. So getting ready to put the filter back into place. One thing to note is you've got this sealing ring here made of metal and rubber. The filter kit that I bought comes with a replacement one of these, and if you think yours is leaking, or you can see it that it's damaged, or you're not confident in it, then you can go ahead and replace that as well. These can be a real pain to get out. So if you're, if you suspect that there's nothing wrong with your old one, as I suspect in this case, because it was actually really hard to get the filter out, I'm pretty confident, 95% confident this will be good, so I'm going to leave that in. I'm not even going to mess with it. But what you want to do, just before you pop the filter back in, is get yourself a little bit of the clean ATF fluid from the top of your from your bottle. And just give it a wipe around. This is the clean fluid. Just give it a wipe around to get all the rubber in there nice and wet, because the back of it had kind of dried out. That'll give us a nice seal. There you go. And again on the filter, I've got some brand new ATF fluid. Just going to wipe that around the edge. That'll be a little bit of extra lubrication to help get it in and give us a better seal. So next, pop your two screws back in. They should be 5 Newton meters. That's such a small increment. Just make sure they're as tight as they were when you took them off. Don't over tighten them. Nice and snug. And so just get the screws just started like that. Don't screw them in very tight. Because what you want to do is you want to put each one of these screws through and make sure that they're not lifting the gasket up. To make sure that these, when you put them through, you're actually finding the hole between. See, the rubber gasket didn't lift when I put that through, so you know that that's in a good position. So again, just get that started, and then move on to the next one. You just want to make sure that it's going through the hole in both the metal and the gasket correctly. So just keep your eye on that, and just go around the outside. So next, what we want to start doing is tightening these up, and obviously this will start to draw this in and start to close the gap up a little bit. So you just want to do it finger tight, not with the wrench. Just start on the first one, get it just starting to move, and then go to the opposite corner. Don't go around in a circle. You want to try and get this as even as you can. Just so it starts to move, and come round to this corner, and this corner. Then we'll do the sides again. I'll use zigzag. Just keep going with that. Do that another kind of 1 or 2 times, just so you're not kind of closing the gap completely in one corner and then trying to get the rest to catch up. You're just trying to close that gap nice and smoothly as you go around. Once you finger tighten them, just start to go around again and just get them a little bit tighter. These are going to be torqued up to the factory spec shortly, which is 12 Newton meters. And just go around and give it a good clean off, especially where the oil leaks were at the back there. Around the gasket, just so when you check it later for leaks, they're not going to be confusing any old leaks with any potential new ones. So give it a good dry all the way around before you move on. So just reach on in, let's unscrew the cover. Pop that to one side. So next up, we're going to grab yourself a funnel. It can be a very tight space to get a normal funnel in. I'm actually using one of these types of funnels. This came with a piece of garden equipment or a generator or something. So if you've got one of these, that is ideal. Just want to get the tip of that into the end of the dipstick tube, like so. So when you come to pour your bottle in, you can kind of fit it in behind the headlight here and just pour it in. So that's what we're going to do. Just pour it in nice and slowly. Remember, it takes around 5.5 quarts to do a gearbox oil change. So we've got 4.5 litres in there now, so we're nearing the point where we're going to start using the dipstick to fine-tune the level. Before we do that, what we want to do is get that fluid moving through the gearbox a little bit. So what you want to do is hop in, start the car up, get your foot on the brake, and just move through the gears one at a time. So move from park down to reverse, keep your foot on the brake, just hold it there for about 5 seconds. And then again, down into neutral, 5 seconds, down into drive, 5 seconds, then the same back up, neutral 5, up, reverse 5, park 5, and do that 2 or 3 times. And all that's going to do is help circulate the fluid that's in there and get it pumping through the gearbox, so we'll be able to get an accurate reading on our dipstick. So now we've got the majority of the fluid in the system. We know we're going to be somewhere near another kind of 1 to 1.5 maybe of these containers. So you're going to be putting that in slowly. I'd recommend doing it maybe half of one of these or a quarter at a time, and just check it on the dipstick each time. Now, one very important thing when you come to check the level each time, the engine of the car must be running. If you do this with the engine off, all the fluid will go back into the pan, and it will just rise back up to the top. So you must do it with the engine running, otherwise you will not get the accurate reading. So bear that in mind, and just don't put too much in at a time. Like I said, maximum of a half if you think you're quite a long way away from the mark. Ideally a quarter at a time, just topping it up and checking it between each check. The reason being, it's a lot easier to put a bit more in than it is to try and get a little bit out. Now, if you're looking to top the dipstick up to your cold marks, obviously you need to work fairly quickly, because the engine and gearbox will start to warm up as soon as that engine is running. So if you can do it in like 5 minutes or so, you'll be absolutely fine. But if it's going to take you 10, 15 minutes or more, then chances are by the end of the process you might get a slightly inaccurate reading. But what you want to do is get it as close as you can to the point where you feel comfortable. And if you feel that the engine is warm and you're not confident on where the mark should be, just leave it till the next morning, come back, let it cool down overnight, double check it again when it's fresh, and then you get 100% accurate reading in case you don't manage to get it done in time. Okay, so perfect. So I'm sat just around the top of my cold mark there. Obviously, I've been running the car for a few minutes, going through the gears, so it would have warmed up a little bit. So I'm sat on the bottom mark of, the top mark of my too cold. So that's about right. So that's taken me about, I guess, five and a quarter, somewhere around there. It might vary a little bit depending on how much you manage to get out of the system. But so that's what you want to do, guys, to change your transmission fluid. Next, what you want to do is take the car for a decent drive, at least kind of 20 minutes or so, a good blast around the block, get all those gears working. Come back, and then you can check the warm levels as well, compare those. If you're worried that it's looking a little bit low, don't fill it straight away. Leave it overnight until the next day. Come out the next morning when it's cold again, and then check your cold level. And if that is also showing that it's slightly low, just top it up a little bit. So that's what you want to do. And also, to be safe, once you've been driving the car for about a week, again, just check the level, top up if necessary, and also shine your torch along the pan. Make sure you've got no leaks and everything's good underneath. But that's it. That should see you well. Thank you very much for watching, guys. We hope you've enjoyed it. Hope it's been useful for you. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you'd like to support us, and we'll see you again in the future. Thank you.